Assurances from the central bank against the devaluation of Barbados currency. The sugar harvest is drawing to a close, and in sports, a triumphant return to Test cricket for Fidel Edwards.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
A very good evening to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Evening News. The Central Bank of Barbados is tonight assuring Barbadians of its commitment in maintaining the exchange rate of the island's currency. This as the bank responds to some aspects of rating agency Moody's downgrading. Lisa Broom has more.
The central bank is reaffirming Barbados' commitment to maintaining the current parity of the exchange rate of 2 Barbados dollars to 1 US dollar. This information is contained in a release issued by the governor of the central bank, Dr. Dilal Worrell. He also says the debt which the government of Barbados owes to non-governmental institutions and individuals is 50% of GDP. The bank notes that while it is true that government bonds and other debt obligations amount to over 100% of GDP, much of this debt is owed to the NIS and institutions owned by government, and there are deposits which government holds that offset some of the debt owed to private firms and individuals. Based on this, it is contending that government borrowing in the private sector amounts to just over half of GDP, which is not overly burdensome. But the central bank acknowledges that with the economic recovery now taking root, it is challenging for government to maintain the current level of spending, while at the same time undertaking measures to maintain employment and the network of social support. The central bank has also been explaining what the Moody's downgrade of Barbados' short-term and long-term bond ceilings indicate. It says these ceilings are distinct from the sovereign foreign rating and are the rating agency's assessment of the highest corporate rating that can be assigned to a Barbadian company seeking to be rated. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
And the government is yet to decide just how it is going to spend the $6 million development grant it is receiving from China. Prime Minister Frundell Stewart says priority will be given to projects that would stimulate the economy.
The projects which we pursue have to be in the context of government's priorities, have to be in the context of existing economic conditions, and where we think the implementation or the execution of these of particular projects can help to boost growth, create jobs, and of course to keep the economic environment stable. So I don't want to particularize at this stage Project A or Project B, because we're doing the thing holistically and within the context of where Barbados is now, what the imperatives are, where we need to go in the foreseeable future.
Barbados is making its final shipment of sugar to the European Union later this week as the 2011 harvest draws to a close. Andrews factory has already wound up its operations, and Port Vale is set to follow tomorrow, with the island earmarked to produce around 24,000 tons of sugar. Peter Thorne reports.
This cargo vessel, the MV Leader SW, arrived at the Bridgetown port over the weekend to transport almost 13,000 tons of sugar to the European Union. The vessel's 19-member crew started loading that commodity into its hold this morning, and the process is expected to take around 3 to 4 days before it sails off to the UK later this week. And in a bid to extract every last ounce of sugar from the fields, sugar officials have allowed Port Vale 2 more days to complete its grinding operations, which will wrap up on Tuesday. They say this will allow nearly another 1,000 tons of sugar to be loaded onto the MV Leader SW as Barbados fulfills its quota requirement to the EU. Barbados has already sent its first shipment of 11,500 tons of sugar to the EU, and this is the last shipment for the year. So far, it's taken almost 280,000 tons of canes from both Andrews and Port Vale to produce just over 23,000 tons of sugar. Andrews has led the way, producing 13,059 tons of sugar, with Port Vale chipping in with 10,099 tons so far. But Port Vale's figure is expected to end at just over 11,000 tons, as sugar officials pull out all the stops to surpass a production figure of 24,000 tons for this year. And with the crop facing several challenges, especially persistent heavy rains, The yield this year is still below the near 30,000 tons originally projected at the start of the harvest. But sugar officials are hoping that 2012 will turn out to be a much better harvest. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
Over 300 travel agents will be on Barbados this week for the inaugural Mega Familiarization Trip. The series of events organized by the Barbados Tourism Authority will give agents the opportunity to experience this island firsthand while strengthening existing working relationships with local tourism partners. The FAM will run from June the 22nd until the 29th and will be officially launched this Thursday with a welcome reception. Executive Vice President of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Sue Springer, says one of the major highlights of the itinerary is a marketplace and seminar at the Concord Experience.
There's going to be an opportunity for them to experience attractions, for them to go and do hotel visits and so on, some of which are some of the new product that we have on stream, like Oceans 2 and Marriott Courtyard, etc., etc. So, we've got some new product to show people, so we're very excited about that. They're also going to have opportunities. There is going to be a carnival jump up all down St. Lawrence Gap on Friday afternoon, and then a cool down at Divi South Winds Beach. So they're going to go actually to the boatyard. That's where mass camp will be, and Cranston Brown is working with the BTA. It's going to be a t-shirt band, and they're going to have headpieces and so on and so forth.
Springer also says the Mega FAM forms part of government's efforts to market the Crop Over Festival and increase the island's marketing reach.
It allows some of the newer markets to become more familiar with our product and what we have as an experience here, whether it's restaurants or attractions or whatever it might be. And hopefully they will go back and then tell the story. If you've experienced something, when you sell something, it's much easier if you've actually experienced it to make sure that, you can really give that message in a meaningful manner. You can be a good salesperson and never even touch anything, but, it's even more impactful if you've actually touched and felt and been a part of what is to be for sale. So, it is hard times. We have to make a difference. It's the first time that we've actually joined all of the markets together. So I think that is exciting too, and they can feed off of one another as well.
The police are probing the unnatural death of a girl. According to lawmen, the body of 9-year-old Donisha Applewhite of Suttle Street, the city, was discovered lying in bed at home by her mother Dawn around 8 this morning. Reports are that Miss Applewhite subsequently called the ambulance, who later notified the police. A post-mortem is being carried out to determine the cause of death. An 18-year-old girl has been remanded to Dodds Prison until the 8th of August for possession of cannabis. Shanice Shakila Thomas of Howells Cross Road, the Ivy, St. Michael, appeared in the District B Magistrates Court this morning before Acting Magistrate Lorianne Smith-Bovell. She pleaded guilty to all 4 charges of possession, possession with intent to supply, trafficking and importation. Her attorney, Mohia Mohawk, has asked the court not to impose a custodial sentence, and the court has ordered a pre-sentencing report. Shanice was held at the Grantley Adams International Airport on the 13th of the month after arriving on a flight from Jamaica. On arrival, she was referred to customs, and on a search of her luggage, 4 plastic-wrapped packages containing 416 taped packets of cannabis were found. Days later, she passed out 36 packets of cannabis weighing over 5 pounds. We'll take a break here, but coming up, a fire leaves a St. Joseph family homeless. 7 people are tonight homeless following an early morning fire at their St. Joseph home. 2 tenders, 6 officers responded to the 4 o'clock blaze. The 3-bedroom timber house was owned by MTW worker Lydia Haynes. Miss Haynes lost everything and says she does not know where she'll sleep tonight, but was assured that she will receive assistance tomorrow. Miss Haynes says when the fire started, her children had to jump through the window. She says her neighbors tried to assist, however the water in the area was off.
I went to turn on the stove and the stove just blew up. And I went to give the little boy to my mother and quick, so like when they went rushing back, the house is already in flames.
In other news, the Caribbean Examinations Council is helping secondary school students to be better prepared for its exams. It is being done through the introduction of 4 textbooks in English and Maths. Entitled Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competency Books, they will cater to students from the 1st to 5th form. Minister Ronald Jones says this new material allows students to perform at their own pace.
This is the correct way to go our system in every Caribbean country has in fact been quite fast-paced. And in a fast-paced race, there are only one Usain Bolt, or there might only be one Powell. But there's so many others who enter the race and are able to run, but are not necessarily able to finish first, but are also able to complete the race. And they're not to complete the race in your time, they're to complete the race in their time.
Registrar of the CXC, Dr. Didicus Jules, says it is the Council's duty to ensure students are well equipped.
The CCSLC is designed to certify the knowledge, generic and subject-specific competencies, attitudes and values that all secondary school leavers should have attained. These generic competencies include problem solving, critical thinking, working in groups, management of emotions, positive self-concept, and dealing with diversity and change.
Westbury Primary School students are being encouraged to give back to their communities when they get older. Member of Parliament for the City of Bridgetown, Patrick Todd, told the students to be great assets to their country after a presentation of school shoes on behalf of Barbadian-born Darcy Husbands, who resides in New York. The shoes were to be presented to any student at the school in dire need. Minister Todd credited Mr. Husbands as a prime example of someone who gave back to the country that nurtured them. He told the students it was an example that they should follow when they grow up.
When future generations give back to their communities, their schools, their country, that ensures that we do not, as it were, kick down the ladder, but we help future generations up the social ladder within our country.
Meanwhile, the Westbury Junior School is having a band and they're preparing for Junior Cadumant. The students paraded the costumes at the school's morning assembly. The band's theme is From Whence We All Came, educating the children about their African ancestry. Expected this year are 3 sections. Well, 3 new events have been introduced to this year's Crop Over calendar. This was noted during the launch of the Barbados National Bank's opening gala ceremony. These events are Pan Fusion, the Bridgetown Alive Do Flicky, and a folk concert series, which will have a full gospel concert as a special feature. According to the Chief Executive Officer of the National Cultural Foundation, Dr. Donna Hunt Cox, the implementation of the new events will join all aspects of the season in the unique Barbadian way. She also commended the Barbados National Bank for its commitment to the crop over season.
It cannot be overlooked that close to 100 members of the BNB staff and officials take particular pride in participating directly in bringing the festive season to the city, as they lead the procession of stilt walkers, Mother Sallies, and a host of dancers and cheerleaders through the streets of Bridgetown to Queen's Park. That is commitment. And we at the National Cultural Foundation thank the BNB and its staff for their partnership, as we hope to continue working with you for many years to come.
Well, Retail Services Manager for the Barbados National Bank, Andrew Campbell, says corporate Barbados has an important role to play in the success of the festival.
Ladies and gentlemen, the success of Crop-Over lies not only in the hands of the National Cultural Foundation and its ability to stage events, but it's also dependent on the business community as good corporate citizens as they exercise their corporate and social responsibility through sponsorship and support of Crop-Over. Of importance too are the patrons who, through their commitment to participation, contribute to the success of each event.
The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, along with other organizations, was honored by the Kiwanis Pride of Barbados Club over the weekend. The club hosted its Oscar Night and paid tribute to many outstanding organizations for their work in the community. Others included Roberts Manufacturers Limited and Grantley Prescott Primary for assisting the club in their projects. CBC was honored for its promotion of charitable events, especially the work in promoting healthier lifestyles in the community. Director of Sales and Marketing, Sharon Waldron, accepted the award on CBC's behalf. She thanked the Kiwanis Club for the acknowledgement.
And it's from the ground roots and the ground level up that we continue to serve. And we're here to do that, and we're here to ably assist you in your goals in trying to reach the masses, one step at a time, one day at a time. So anything that we can do to help you reach your goals, we are willing to. Thank you.
Still to come, we'll look at stories making headlines across our region. Now, the Courts Quiz. What is the original name of the Barbados Light and Power Company Limited? In the Course Quiz tonight, we asked you for the original name of the Barbados Light and Power Company Limited. It's the Barbados Electric Supply Corporation. Local low-cost carrier Redjet is targeting Grenada. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Redjet, Ian Burns, has held preliminary discussions with representatives of the Grenada Airlift Committee. This is a first step to making an official application for a license to service the Grenada route. Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation, Peter David, described the discussions as only preliminary, saying government will be prepared to consider all factors in the interest of the tourism sector and the Grenada economy. When asked about the likely impact of Redjet on longtime regional carrier Liat, the tourism minister said government is supportive of the sustainability of Liat. He also said it has a responsibility to restore the declining numbers of persons traveling within the region. Workers across Trinidad have been told to be on standby for an avalanche of protests if the government fails to implement 7 demands from the labor movement. The warning came as representatives of 14 trade unions signed an accord containing the demands, which, if not met, will result in island-wide protests and shutdowns starting in 17 days. Among the trade unionists signing that accord was President General of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, Ansel Roger, who told workers the planned action would include a massive protest outside the office of the Prime Minister. In his address at a Labor Day rally in Faizabad yesterday, Roger urged Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesar not to forget the lesson her predecessor Patrick Manning learnt when he was removed from office through the power of the working class. Well, close friends and key supporters of Grammy Award-winning Jamaican reggae artist Buju Banton are feeling the anxiety as the reggae singer's sentencing date draws closer. The artist, whose real name is Mark Anthony Myrie, will on Thursday be sentenced in a federal court in Tampa, Florida. The sentence comes 4 months after Banton's conviction on drug-related charges in February. Banton will hear this Thursday how much time he will spend in a U.S. prison on a drug conviction. Well, yesterday, Banton's friends and supporters said they were nervous about the possibility of him going to prison for an extended period. Ahead in the Lime sports world, the Windies take first-day honours against India at Sabina Park. Before we get to all of that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
In the event of a hurricane warning, identify ahead of time where you could go if you're told to evacuate.
Very good evening to you. I am Mark Seal with your Lime Sports World. A 146-run 7th-wicket partnership between Suresh Raina and Harbhajan Singh stopped a potentially disastrous slide for the visiting Indians on day 1 of the first Digicel test at Sabina Park in Jamaica today. After winning the toss and batting, India were reduced to 85 for 6 at one stage, but Raina with 82 and Harbhajan with 70 led the recovery, as the visitors were dismissed for 246. On his return to Test cricket from injury, pacer Fidel Edwards, in for Kemar Roach, was the pick of the bowlers with 4 for 56, while fellow pacer Ravi Rampal took 3 for 59, and leg spinner Devendra Bishu 3 for 75. The Windies so far are 34 for 1.
Inside edge gets his first runs in Test cricket. Down towards fine leg. Edged away and caught. Bishu takes the catch at backward point, so a breakthrough for the West Indies. Edged, no third man, 4 runs. Thick outside edge along the ground.
Bowling! Beautifully bowled again by Ravi Rampal. And he's taking advantage of that width outside the off stump.
And he gets a wicket with his first delivery. There's a big appeal Lakshman is walking.
Perfectly pitched. Lakshman a bit loose with the drive, thick edge. Edged and taken. Another very important wicket just before lunch. This has been a superb session for the West Indies as Fidel Edwards strikes. That's gone away for 4. And that's a 50 for Harbhajan. He's played well. He's counter-attacked. He's a positive cricketer and a really combative individual who's doing the business now for India. And he's gone again. Taking the partnership to 99. He's brought up his 50 as well, Suresh Raina. Harbhajan is joining in the fun, and that's gone for 6.
Deep backward square leg was set out there for this, brilliantly taken by Davindra Bishu. The plan has come off for Fidel Edwards, but that catch has sealed the deal. He's given it. It was full. There's no review system. Praveen Kumar might have fallen across his stump. Ian Gould took a while before he raised the finger.
In the air, big appeal for a catch and out. No review system here. He's signaling his forearm. Get moving, Mishra. Gone into the hands of short leg. So Simmons goes. Ishan Sharma pushing the ball down the leg side. Inside edge onto the pad.
West Indies will continue their first innings reply from 11 a.m. Barbados time on TV 8 and radio 94.7 FM. More cricket later on, but now on to football. Supremo Jack Warner says he resigned from FIFA to save CONCACAF and the Caribbean Football Union from further chaos in the face of the ongoing cash for vote scandal. The 67-year-old, one of the most powerful men in world football, quit as one of the vice presidents of football's world governing body today and also relinquished his hold on CONCACAF and the CFU. He had been suspended from all 3 organizations pending an investigation by FIFA's Ethics Committee into corruption allegations, which also implicated Asian football chief and former FIFA presidential contender Mohammed bin Hammam of Qatar. Making it clear that he had not been pushed, the Trinidadian said he also believed he would have been acquitted had a fair investigation run its course. The Times football correspondent Matthew Saeed says there are questions still to be answered.
I think a lot of people will say, did he go before he was pushed? And I think the other very important question is whether or not there was any quid pro quo that FIFA would stop the investigation in exchange for Warner resigning.
Just remind us of what it is that he is alleged to have done.
Well, the allegations were absolutely explosive, and they were in the build-up to that key FIFA presidential election between Sepp Blatter and the candidate Mohammed bin Hammam. The allegation is that Warner, along with bin Hammam, offered bribes totaling around £600,000 to members of the Caribbean associations in order to secure their vote for bin Hammam. It was explosive because it meant that FIFA then decided to investigate bin Hammam, and he was withdrawn from the presidential race. So Blatter got through unopposed.
What do you think is going to happen next?
I think that should be interesting, because if the allegations are not investigated fully, remember bin Hammam still has those allegations outstanding against him, I think the world of football will be absolutely horrified. We need to know whether these bribes were paid, whether they have been banked, what are going to be the ramifications for those who took the bribes but did not blow the whistle, and we need to know whether or not Hammam and Warner were involved. And if they were involved, is this something that has been taking place in FIFA for a long time? Because there's one other aspect of Warner's statement today that has gone rather more unnoticed. He said that the giving of gifts, in this case what we would call bribes, has been going on in FIFA for years. And he said, I really didn't know that what I was doing was wrong. And we really need to know whether that is true.
More cricket and football and netball after the break. There was a tie on first innings in one of the games as Series 2 of the Lyme Under-15 cricket competition got going today. Playing at Constant, home team St. George Secondary made 23 for a 5 in just 10 overs. Those 10 overs were possible due to rain. In reply, Alexandra also ended on 23 for 8 in their 10 overs, thus a tie for first innings points. 4 teams did manage, though, to get the lead outright. At Church Hill, Foundation led Garrison. Scores there, Foundation 173 for 8 with Zachary McCaskey getting 62. Garrison 106 with Shaquan Carter 6 for 21. Over at St. Stephen's Hill, a 5-wicket haul by Kyles Canterbury saw home team KFC Ellerslie get the lead over Princess Margaret. Scores Ellerslie 129 and 44 without loss. Rico John getting 5 for 23 in the first innings. Princess Margaret 39. Canterbury taking 5 for 10. And at Waterford, Combermere are leading Dighton Griffith. Dighton 111 for 2. Ian Boyce taking 5 for 30 in the first innings. Combermere 213 for 5. Shamar Springer 88 not out and Keon Harding 63. Back to football now. There were 2 big upsets at the National Stadium last night. Defending champions Clayton's Colatonic Notre Dame have been booted out at the semi-final stage of the KFC knockout competition. Despite a late fight, the Dames fell to a 3-2 loss to Weymouth Wales, who struck first through Kimar Headley in the 31st minute to close the first half of that 1-0 lead. They went 2-0 up when Dwayne McLean started the goal rush in the second half. However, the Dames pulled things back thanks to Dequan Adamson, who scored both of the defending champions' goals. But it was McLean's second goal that secured the 3-2 win to see Wales through to the final. Wales will take on Cosmos in the July 10th finale after Cosmos took out Paradise in a 2-1 victory in the first semi-final. 2 goals from David Ford was enough to seal the deal, as Paradise only scored once through Armando Lashley. It was a big day for first-time finalists. That would be Charles F. Broom, as they captured their first Pine Hill Dairy Primary School's netball championship against a defiant St. Andrews side in today's final at the Wildy Gym. Meanwhile, Grantley Prescott produced a brilliant second half to capture the 3rd place over Reynold Weeks. CBC's Andy Thornhill reports.
This is Reynold Weeks playing Grantley Prescott for 3rd position. Some good early moves from Reynold Weeks. Good take from Jafia Lucas. 7 of 8, and you can see why. Tiny but mighty. Good positioning, though, from Tricia Phillips of Grantley Prescott. Up and in. Tricia had a wonderful game at goal shoot. And this little one, Miss Phillips and Miss Lucas at the other end, both can be proud of their performances. But it was the overall game, good passing, good movement, good positioning, and good finishing from Grantley Prescott that gave them the decisive edge. Tricia Phillips, the daughter of the national under-16 coach, Julie Phillips, who also played for the national team, certainly having a few tricks up her sleeve. And this is the big one, Brianna Holder, tick for tack at the other end. That's Husbands, and it's Holder again for Charles F. Broom. Husbands turning the screws, trying to keep St. Andrew in the game, but they know they've got a game on their hands. It was Charles F. Broom who led by 3 goals at halftime and really turned on the pressure. Here's McCarthy, 4 of 5. Wow, second half business. And I tell you, this would be the shot that told you decisively who were the queens. Charles F. Broom, Andy Thornhill, CBC Sports.
And congrats to the champs. That's it for sports. The business report up next.
Optimism that there could soon be an increase in Chinese investment in Barbados. This sentiment is coming from no other person than Prime Minister Frendel Stewart, who is just back from an official visit to China. He says Invest Barbados has been working on getting more international business companies there to register here. From a position 2 years ago where Barbados was literally unknown in that market, 33 Chinese companies were registered last year. Mr. Stewart says Invest Barbados representative Dr. Carlisle Boyce has been working under challenging circumstances to develop that market.
He knows that market very well. He understands Shanghai, he understands the culture of China and so on. And he shared with us a 3-year plan that will take him down to about 2013, I think it was. And every indication is that he thinks once the appropriate efforts are made and once he is reinforced in terms of the human resources at his disposal, we can make a serious dent at that level.
The high cost of production in Barbados continues to hurt the island's competitiveness. That's why the BCSI, the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries, wants companies in Barbados to focus more on producing indigenous products, catering to niche markets. The advice comes from President Vincent Price.
We need to really look and see if we can start focusing on indigenous products, see where we can have niche markets. I think that is very crucial. Because if we go along the traditional way, we're not gonna win on that area at all. Because cost is for us, especially in this part of the world, is extremely high.
Mr. Price explains that it has become harder for Barbados to be competitive with the emergence of the economies of Brazil, China, and even Cuba.
We can't compete with the Cubas and with the Chinas in relation on a cost-by-cost basis. The economies of scale, we're out of the market when it comes to that. They can produce a lot of volume at our lower costs.
Meantime, the new BCSI Executive Director Lisa Cummins is urging local businesses to consider the option of forming consortiums. She says this will help to improve Barbados' competitiveness by helping companies reduce cost.
We have a number of small and medium-sized enterprises who don't have the capacity individually to tap into certain markets or to build the economies of scale that the President is talking about. But what we can do is to work with those companies to form groupings of companies so you minimize your costs by dealing with volume. And that is one of the areas that should be looked at as an urgent priority.
Outlining her vision for the BCSI, Ms. Cummins says the organization will also be seeking to promote standards.
What are the standards? Does Barbados necessarily have the highest available standards for service delivery? We're not talking only about NICE, but in terms of meeting the requirements of other international markets. So those are things that need to be looked at in terms of our going forward.
Here's a summary of today's trading on some of the region's stock exchanges.
A very good evening to all, and it was sunny for the most part across Barbados today. It was also quite breezy, but as Mark pointed out, we had a couple of showers over the section. St. George actually interrupted a cricket match. But the high taken at the airport, take a look, 31.3 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature was down to 25.1 overnight. At 6 o'clock, we had partly cloudy skies at the airport. Still rather warm, 29.1 degrees Celsius. The humidity stood at 78%. The winds were out of the east at 30 kilometers per hour, an indication that the ridge of high pressure is still quite strong. Now in the eastern Atlantic, there is one tropical wave we're tracking tonight, Barbados and the island chain around here. That wave is in the vicinity of 41 degrees west, with most of the activity to the south of 12 degrees north. And if you look, there's a well-outlined intertropical convergence zone, lots of activity associated with this zone at this time. Now this wave is due to reach us sometime around Wednesday into Thursday. But today, for the most part, as I indicated, we had fair skies, a couple of showers, the ridge of high pressure, let's put the cloud in motion. The high pressure system was the dominant feature. As a result, the subsidence environment meant that not a whole lot of low-level cloud was being generated. Now, this is associated with the tropical wave that passed through us over the weekend, and incidentally, we had an inch, 25.9 millimeters of rainfall at the airport over the weekend. The wave is actually in the vicinity of 70 degrees west, but some of the cloud associated with the tail end still lingered in the vicinity of the islands, and as a result, some of the northern islands saw a few scattered showers, nothing really significant. But as the wave pushes further into the Caribbean Sea, we are expecting conditions to start to clear. Now there's a combination of a trough and a frontal system. This was responsible for cloudy skies over some of the western islands. Not a whole lot of shower activity expected, but tomorrow could be a different picture. I'll be back after the break. Welcome back and take a look. Tomorrow we're going to be, at least for the next 24 hours, the high pressure ridge is going to be the dominant feature. As a result, we're going to be seeing those shallow patches moving in and out of the island chain. Of course, the intertropical convergence zone, there's still going to be quite a bit of activity down south, but as I pointed out, the tropical wave presently around 41, 42 degrees west, that is going to be pushing into the island chain sometime around Wednesday into Thursday. And even though we're going to be sitting on the northern periphery of that activity, there's still some potential for showers and a few isolated thunderstorms. And of course, there's some pretty strong winds we are observing to the east of the axis. That is going to be propelling the tropical wave into the island chain rather rapidly. Thereafter, the winds are going to be picking up. The seas are going to continue to be agitated, and we're going to be urging you to continue to be quite cautious. Take a look at our 4-day prediction. We're going to be looking at Tuesday through to Friday, fair and breezy for the most part, as I indicated, but a couple of stray showers expected. Instability and moisture levels are going to be rising around Wednesday, so look out for a few showers, maybe even the chance of isolated thunderstorms. Sunrise tomorrow, 28 minutes to 6 o'clock. Sunset will be at 26 minutes after 6. The first high tide early tomorrow morning, 20 minutes after 7. The second is going to be at 19 after 8 in the p.m. The first low tide even earlier, 16 minutes after 1. The second is going to be at 1:33 in the afternoon. Seas in a fairly agitated mode due to the strong winds peaking at 2.5 meters. So we're urging small craft operators and sea bathers to be cautious. The winds easterly to east-southeasterly 15 to 40 kilometers per hour. Tonight across Barbados, fair to partly cloudy with a few scattered showers. And come tomorrow, we're going to be expecting mostly fair and breezy weather conditions. However, some brief scattered shower activity is likely.